I tell you here, we're going to be talking, I'm mentioning the re-mentioning. Is that even a word? Joe Panucci comes up in 15 minutes talking about ETSU baseball and a few things Southern Conference. 1:30, we're going to talk Southern Conference again. What's going on in the Southern Conference? I'm about ready to break to you. New head coach coming into Wofford, Jeff McCauley. So BJ Mackey likely will stay at ETSU. That's good for ETSU. I mean, ETSU is really looking to be the powerhouse this next upcoming college basketball season. And yes, it's the middle of April, and I'm talking about something that'll begin play at the start of November. I mean, but no, I mean, that is something to get excited about. And I think that if you're looking at a winning team in the future, I know there are some that and, well, I mean, I've seen some preseason, but I'm looking at the big winner, the sure thing in local sports next year. I got to think ETSU basketball. No, this. Then again, ETSU baseball, and we'll be talking to Joe Panucci here. And, of course, as we always do at 1 o'clock on Monday and on Friday, Jerry Bonkowski about, the race, the rain did not come from the heavens. And so, yes, holding off Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr. Is it you cannot call it getting even for last year's Cup race, because who's going to remember this as compared to the Monster Energy Cup final? Then again, I am the one Detroit Tigers. His start snowed out. Odd man out in the rotation. They bump his start. They go with the four-man staff instead of going to Norris. That's when you really know you're the number 5 starter and you got a ways to go. But then again, Norris didn't win a game last year in an injury-plagued season. Great story, by the way, DetroitNews.com, from one of their columnists up there. Just can't get a break of the Detroit Tigers. Then again, there is the feeling that maybe, just maybe, that's a good thing for baseball if he doesn't, pick up his pace. Norris was 2 years ago the slowest worker in the major leagues, taking 27 seconds between pitches. By rule, you're only supposed to take 20. All right. By the way, news. Whose commitment has been reopened. He tweeted out this week he received some offers from Elon and Appalachian State. There are others that are unconfirmed. I will tell you that a new school has come into the mix, not well known, but Furman. So Irvin may actually stay in the Southern Conference. Irvin could, it isn't official, but he's contemplating a visit to Furman. Let's put it that way. Okay, he has received offers from Appalachian State, and so who wouldn't? Some say he's even better than Matt McClung. Nevertheless, the thing is, Irvin, there isn't really that much of a spot for him, and as Steve Forbes once talked about, no, we're not bankers. After Mike Young went to Virginia Tech, that made Wofford that much less desirable. As an ETSU fan, I think you want Irvin to keep his commitment to Wofford, or for that matter, go to Furman, and not accept it. We're looking at a circumstance where conference. Think about teams whose stock are up, and maybe even Furman. Their stock is all going down. So who challenges ETSU full? Maybe the Bucks can have a season like Wofford did this past year. But it isn't good for ETSU for the advancement of a program if their conference falls from where it was, one of the more prestigious mid-majors in the country. You get a recruit to Irvin going to Furman, or keeping his commitment to Wofford, and not going to the Sun Belt everything together for 2 final games. Gerald Sensabaugh and company leading for Nick. Last-second field goal to defeat the Citadel 16-30. And many thought to finish ETSU football. Well, it was that way for more than a decade. Started football in 1991 with it, whereas ETSU is dropping the sport. And for that matter, the fact that, the money seemed to be going to Tusculum. They were at Cardinal Park in baseball. Or, yes, the Niswonger Performing Arts Center, that was going to Greenville, not Johnson City. It seemed like Tusculum was kicking ETSU's ass at the time. And on the gridiron, Buccaneers lost to the Phoenix, and it was on of the spring football game at ETSU. Now, what can you take from a spring football game? To be honest with you, only one quarterback played. There are still players that are going to come in. But here's what I did take. There's a walk-on from Gainesville, Georgia. He's a redshirt freshman. He's a real little guy. Cornerback. Only 5'8" tall. And that actually might be a bit of a stretch. Regardless, Timmons, Rodarious Timmons, comes from, like Purdue is going to try to get a transfer from High Point. But generally speaking, it happens in basketball, less so in football. But sure enough, even without a scholarship, Timmons has transferred up from Tusculum to ETSU. Think about 2003 when, with a common opponent, Elam, the Pioneers defeated the Phoenix. The Bucks lost to them, and just how low ETSU looked at that time. And now, players are transferring up without one of the 3 interceptions that Cam Lewis to start. I wouldn't expect them to get a scholarship. However, just by getting that interception in the spring game, it shows you how far ETSU football, and for that matter, East Tennessee, great or small, can it please continue moving forward. So Timmons getting the ETSU still figures to have some very weak receiving core. The player to watch there that really kind of stepped up, a freshman by the name of Will. I liked, by the way, when Lewis was recruited, he was one of Randy Sanders' first recruits, and I thought he was a big name, well, I shouldn't say big name, but I liked what his production was at his high school there in Georgia. It was Eagles Landing High School in McDonough, Georgia. 34-yard touchdown. However, Jalen Williams consistently broke running back position. So look at Williams maybe, and he's telling everybody, having so many practice freshmen step up, that's a good thing. The other news, this big was Jared Folks, the Temple transfer. He's coming back. He has another year of eligibility that people did not think that he would have, and that is huge, good news that the Temple transfer, Jared Folks, a stud on defense last year, but thought that it was going to be his final year campaign. That's the take from from ETSU spring football game. I'll talk in an hour to SoCon John Hooper about it, as well as Wofford's coaching moves, who the next commissioner might be, and more. But first up, it's Joe Panucci, the baseball coach at ETSU. Bucks took a pair from Furman this weekend, ending a 3-game losing streak. Tri-City Sports Now.